In this video, we're going to talk about the general section, which is reserved for you here at the very top of your page. Normally, the general section is really meant for you to add any information for the course that would be important for the students to see. It's going to be the very first thing they see. So what you would normally put here is your announcements by default. I've added an IT support page for help, but faculty have also added attendance blocks, and they've also added the syllabus, things like that. So I'll show you how you can go ahead and add those items in here and a few specifics that you might find interesting about this particular section. I also want to mention that it isn't mandatory for you to use this space at the top for this information. You really have control over where you want to put that information, but because this section is the first thing that students see, that's why it's reserved for general information. So right now I have my announcements forum that's here by default, and one thing I do want to mention here, if you click inside of this, you see you're able to add a discussion topic. And if you've used Moodle before, it looks very similar to creating forums. And this is considered a forum, however, it is only one-way communication. There are ways to create two-way forums where you would ask a question and receive an answer from the student, but in this case it's reserved only for announcements that are going from the teacher to the student. Students are not able to answer on this forum. So if you are going to use this default forum, make sure that what you're putting here is not something you're expecting an answer to. Examples for this might be the syllabus, it could be an upcoming test, or asking them to bring something to class, reminders, stuff like that. Make sure you reserve those announcements for here and that you're not expecting the students to answer in return, or it's going to get confusing for you and for them. So I'm going to go back to the general section here, and I've also added a URL here as a support page. And one thing I always find would be very helpful is to add the syllabus into the section here. So that's one of the first things that they see. But you'll notice that we already have our syllabus down here in our week 1. So if I want to move that, there's two ways that I can do that. I'm going to turn my editing button on in the upper right hand corner. And the first thing you can do, if you want, you can hover over where that item is that you want to move. And when you see the 4-arrow cursor show up, you could just grab it and drag it to where you want it to go. So that's really easy. It allows you to go from one place to the other. But another way I want to show you is I'm going to bring it back down here so I could show you the other way. New to us in 4.0 is the course index. So here on the left-hand side, if we go ahead and we click on it, you're going to be able to see every single item in our class and be able to navigate to it quickly. So here we have our syllabus underneath week 1. If we want to move it, we just have to hover over it until we see that same 4-sided arrow, and then we're going to drag and drop it here at the top. So it's really easy to move things around, so you're able to put them where you want them to go. So I'm just going to X out the course index here so that way we can expand our page a little bit. Two more things I want to show you about this section. A lot of faculty will also like to add the attendance activity here. We're not going to set that up in this video. We'll set it up in a different video. But if you wanted to add it here, you would just turn your editing mode on and then add an activity or resource and choose the attendance activity here. And then it'll ask you to set that up. And again, we're not going to do that now. We'll do that in a separate video, but you would save and return to course and you would actually have your attendance all set up. The last thing that I want to show you is sometimes you'll notice on your Moodle page, everything is pretty simple. There's no pictures, there's no images. It's really like a blank slate. And sometimes faculty might like to add an image to their page to welcome the students to the class. This image could be a picture of you, especially if it's going to be an online course, but it could also just be a regular banner, which is what we're going to do in this example. So what I want to do is in my Welcome to 4.0 section, I'm going to click the 3 dots in the upper right hand corner and click Edit Section. Then here in the summary, I want to expand my editor and I'm going to find the little image button here, click on there and browse repositories, and I want to find a file that I want to share. So I'm going to use the Hello banner here that I have, press Open, and then press upload this file, and you can describe the image here for someone who can't see it. And you could leave it this size or you could change the size depending on what you would like it to be. Now you want to keep in mind that you keep auto size turned on because you want to make sure that when you change one, the other size changes according to it so it looks correct. So we're going to put this in the middle and then save the image and see how that looks. And now we have a nice banner, and if you want to center it, you can. and then you're just going to click Save Changes. So now we have our banner, and that's nice and big. When they come in, they're going to see that right away. If you want to change it, you can make it smaller in this size. So I'm just going to turn my editing off so you can kind of see what it looks like. And now we have our general section all set up with pertinent information for our students so they know where to go and they know what to expect.